This story was told to me by my great-grandmother, who heard it from her great-great-grandmother. There once was a boy named Doluu Figudorlung, who lived on the great Arctic plains just north of the Boreal Forest that stretches across America, Europe, and Asia. These great Arctic plains are known as the Tundra and are also home to the great herds of caribou who make a journey around the world every year, crossing the Boreal Forest before returning to the Tundra. Nobody knows why the caribou make this long journey every year, but they sure seem to enjoy it. The caribou love the beauty of the tundra, where the sky looks as big as the land. They love the winding rivers and craggy terrain filled with lichen and tiny flowers. The caribou also love what the Southerners call the Northern Lights. The caribou call it the dancing sky world because there seems to be another world dancing in the sky that tells them all kinds of things, like where to find a fresh lake to bathe in, pleasing moss to sleep on, or tasty lichen to snack on, and all sorts of other mysterious things. Doluu loved being with the caribou, singing by the river or watching the dancing sky world together, wondering what strange things they might see in the shimmering lights. Sometimes Doluu would get ideas for sculptures staring up at the big sky. Sometimes he would breathe in the fresh, crisp air, and when he fell behind the herds of caribou, he would ring his little bell to let them know he was on his way, and the caribou would jingle their bells so Doluu could follow the sound and join them again. When Doluu was still a small boy, his grandfather had found a way to make electricity from a nearby river, and Doluu's father had found a way to make little light bulbs on a string. So when Doluu was old enough, he followed in this tradition by making special lamps for the villagers and toys for the children out of caribou antlers. Doluu Figudorlung was born in the village, but he liked to spend his time wandering out on the land with the caribou most of the year.
The caribou always know where to get tasty lichen in the summer, and they've made a habit of leaving me some antlers to carve in the autumn,
Doluu would explain.
I love being in the village too, but I especially love wandering with the caribou, he would add.
Doluu never imagined going with the caribou on their great migration to the south because the Boreal Forest was so far away that Doluu was afraid he might not be able to hear the caribou jingling their bells and find his way back to his beloved tundra. So Doluu always stayed behind when the caribou went on their migration, and he would give out antler toys to the children in his village and enjoy the sweet snacks that the villagers made at this time of the year. When the caribou returned from their migration to the Boreal Forest, Doluu would join them once again to wander the tundra together. One day, when Doluu was out with the caribou, staring at the big sky world, he saw something strange in the shimmering lights. It looked a bit like lichen, only gigantic. Doluu saw bright colors and many shapes that he had never seen before. When he asked the caribou, they stomped their feet on the ground a little and said, "Yes, yes, those are the trees we've been telling you about." You see, there were no trees at all on the great northern plains. Doluu only knew about lichen. The caribou loved the trees and hollyberries, the mistletoe and the poinsettia flowers. They loved snacking on the mushrooms that grow under the trees and found they could jump into the dancing sky world and jump out again on the great Arctic plains of the tundra without having to walk all the way. The caribou tried to explain, but nothing they said helped Doluu understand what he felt, nor why the caribou made such a long journey to visit the trees. Finally it was decided, now that Doluu had seen a vision of the trees in the sky, he would be able to follow the caribou on their great migration this coming December. Doluu spent the next few months making small antler gifts for the trees that the caribou had spoken of and which he had seen in the sky vision. Doluu made so many tiny sculptures that he needed a special bag big enough to carry them all in. Doluu was very excited to go see these strange trees and giant flowers and who knows what. He even packed some little electrical light bulbs on a string so he could place them in the trees that would glimmer in the dark, just as he had seen in the night sky. It was indeed a long walk, and though Doluu had often wandered far and wide on the tundra with the caribou, he had never walked nearly this far in his whole life. Just when he thought he could walk no further, they came upon the first trees. Doluu was amazed beyond words, and the caribou were happy too. Doluu's heart was filled with wonder at the inconceivable beauty of these trees, their smell, their shape, their roots and branches where the birds had made their nests. It was all so incredibly beautiful. The Southerners call these evergreen trees pine, spruce, fir, or the conifer family, and they say that the Boreal Forest is very far north. But to the tundra people of the Arctic plains, these evergreen trees are very far south. Doluu was so enthralled by the trees that he started laughing. Hee hee hee, ha ha ha, ho ho ho. Then he started putting some of his little antler toys in the trees, when he noticed that some of the trees had gingerbread cookies and big chocolate bells and other brightly colored figures along with some eggnog. Doluu enjoyed these strange treats very much. The caribou were also enjoying snacking on the mushrooms under the pine trees. Doluu fell asleep before hanging the little lamps up in the tree because he was just so excited to see and touch and smell these wondrous trees. The villagers of the Boreal Forest love to decorate the evergreens, and on the longest night of the year, they love to gather around the fire, sing songs by candlelight, and enjoy a delicious special meal to celebrate the return of the sun. As usual, the villagers were all inside enjoying this magical night when one little girl went to look out the window to watch the snow gently falling. Her eyes suddenly widened in wonder as she saw many strange things. There was a red and white elf climbing in the trees with all kinds of toys, and the caribou had jingle bells and a big red mushroom stuck to his nose, she told the others, who thought she had a great imagination. The next morning, they all went out to see the trees and found Doluu with his string of little lights and antler toys and the caribou resting under the trees. Doluu explained who he was and how he had followed the caribou from his beloved tundra so he could see the trees. He told them about electricity and the lichen, the dancing sky world, and about his long journey that all sounded quite odd to the Southerners, who were also very impressed. Doluu showed the villagers how to make electricity and gave them some strings of little lights for the trees and special lamps and antler toys. The Boreal Forest villagers made a regal wooden sled for Doluu so he could fly home with the caribou instead of having to walk all the way back to the tundra. After sharing some stories and songs, the Boreal villagers packed up some delicious food, eggnog, little evergreen trees, poinsettia flowers, pretty ribbons, and handwritten letters for Doluu to take home to the tundra villagers on the great Arctic plains. Doluu loaded up his sled, his big red bag brimming with wonders from the south. He tied long ribbons, first to the sled, then to the caribou, who set off through the Boreal Forest, heading for the dancing sky world. Shoo! Off they flew across the snow-covered tops of the boreal trees, phew! Right up into the aurora borealis, or northern lights as they're called in the south. Shoosh! Back to the snow-covered craggy rocks where lichen grows in the summertime. Shoosh! Back to the ice paths of the tundra where the villagers awaited Doluu's return. The tundra villagers were surprised to see Doluu's sled, and even more surprised by the evergreens and hollyberries and mistletoe and cranberries, which they'd never seen before. Doluu also brought turkey and gravy and cornbread and chestnuts and told stories about his adventures. The villagers could hardly believe what they heard and thought it was just another one of Doluu's strange stories from out on the land. But after decorating everything with evergreen and ribbon and such, the villagers prepared a delicious feast with all the strange, delicious foods. And so they do every year, 3 days after the winter solstice, when Doluu returns from the south with the caribou and special gifts from the forest. Doluu Figudorlung still loves to go wandering out on the tundra with the caribou to find lichen or a special river and enjoy the crisp air. But now, youngsters from the village will sometimes join Doluu to learn how to carve antler sculptures. Sometimes these youngsters will stare up at the aurora borealis, and they too will see something that inspires them and gives them the courage to go on a long journey and discover wondrously beautiful amazements to delight and share with others. What do you see when you stare up into the night sky on cold, crisp winter nights?